Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail Bodner. I'm the Executive Director of Climatematch Academy this year. I am very excited to welcome you to the very first Computational Tools for Climate Science course. So who are we? At Climatematch Academy, we strive to create a globally diverse climate science community trained on cutting-edge techniques to access and analyze open-source modeled and observational climate data. We are part of the NeurMatch Greater Organization, so you may have heard the term NeurMatch or NMA, which stands for NeurMatch Academy, which is the educational platform we are basing our course on. NeurMatch Academy has been extremely successful in teaching thousands of students worldwide in the neuroscience field. We are excited to adapt this model now to teach climate science. Our mission is to make science accessible to everybody, everywhere, by removing barriers to education, networking, and knowledge sharing. We will be having students participate from all around the world in different time zones that are most convenient to them. We are excited to see what type of new knowledge sharing we will gain from learning about climate change impacts from different communities around the world. We've had over 150 volunteers contribute to the creation of Climatematch Academy and build the content that you will be working through, and hundreds more from the NeurMatch Academy community that have created this beautiful model that we are all using. Dozens of sponsors and collaborators have also contributed to different aspects of the course, whether it's related to contributing to content or compute or knowledge sharing. We are very thankful for all our collaborators. So in this orientation, you will be hearing from Ella Batty, the Executive Director of NeurMatch Academy, on the NeurMatch story, course logistics, and how to be a good participant. You will then hear from our team leads in the Climatematch Academy on curriculum, projects, and professional development.
I'm Ella Batty, and I'm the Executive Director of Climatematch Academy this year. We're really happy you're here, and we're looking forward to spending the next few weeks sharing powerful and exciting techniques in computational neuroscience, deep learning, and climate science with you. We're also excited to help you meet your peers and other scientists around the world. NeurMatch Academy is an organization dedicated to worldwide inclusive science education and community building. This summer, we're running a computational neuroscience course, a deep learning course, and in collaboration with our sister organization, Climatematch Academy, a computational tools for climate science course. NeurMatch Academy is organized by hundreds of volunteers every year. We have thousands of students attend, and hundreds of teaching assistants and mentors participate. We have participants from over 70 countries every year. In this video, I'll briefly cover some basics to get you oriented before the course starts. You'll also have a lot of opportunity to ask questions to your TA and podmates later. I'll first talk about pod and schedule logistics, then the curriculum of the course, and finally, how you can be a good participant. Now we'll go through some logistics about your pod and schedule. You may have already heard the term pod. Students are grouped into pods, and each pod has a regular TA in charge of it. You've been matched into these pods based on your time zones, language preferences, career stage, and interests. This pod structure allows us to have personalized learning, because you'll interact with your TA and podmates a lot, in a global community. Pods are clustered with other pods into megapods. This is so you get to meet people outside of your group too. And all of NeurMatch is structured like this, so we have thousands of students in their pods, in their megapods. Within each pod, you will form multiple project groups. Your project group will be assisted by a project TA and a mentor who is volunteering their time to help you in your project. Each project TA and mentor will be helping with multiple project groups. So there's a lot of people you'll be communicating with. How do you do that? Your tutorials and projects time will be in Zoom, and your Zoom link should show up in the portal where you find your pod information. We also have a Discord server for each course. You'll have a channel with your podmates and TA, and you'll also have access to other people at NeurMatch through more general channels. We've also created WeChat groups for students and TAs in China. Now we'll go through some things you can do to make sure you're a good community member and making the most of your experience. The first is that you should show up for coursework and projects time every day. We'll be awarding certificates of completion, so check out the quick links and policies page in the Course Jupiter book to read the attendance policy. Not only do you need to show up, but you need to show up prepared. We've provided preparatory materials for each course that we expect you to go through ahead of time. You can find those in the Course Jupiter book as well. For some of the courses, there'll be intro or keynote videos that you should watch before the coursework session every day, so make sure you're doing that. We also want you to engage. Communities are better when everybody takes part in them. This means we want you to ask questions. If you're confused, somebody else probably is too. We also want you to teach and help one another. When you understand the material, you should teach others. Teaching is one of the best ways of fully grasping material, so you'll probably get as much out of it as they do. And on other days, they'll probably be teaching you. We've got students with very different backgrounds coming into this course, so you'll probably be able to teach each other a lot. We want these courses to be very interactive, so we ask that you keep your video on as much as possible, and try to interact with the wider course community on Discord and through live events. We want to build an inclusive and supportive community, so please be respectful. That means following the golden rule, treat others as you'd like to be treated. Please don't be competitive. You are not being graded against your peers, so you should be supporting them. Please accept any feedback given to you and assume good intentions behind it. We have a really global and diverse community, which is really exciting but can make communication challenging. So be mindful of how you address people. Don't be afraid to ask someone to repeat something if you don't understand them. And try not to interrupt. Everybody deserves a chance to speak. Before the course, please review our Code of Conduct, which includes a link to a form where you can report any violations of the Code of Conduct that happen during the course. Hopefully none will. You also need to be willing to ask for help. These courses are intensive learning experiences. You might feel overwhelmed or confused at times. That's really natural. If you are, please talk to your TA. They are there to help you. Also, remember that learning is iterative and you cannot become an expert in a few weeks. You're probably getting more than you realize. And give yourself time to adjust. The first couple days might be especially intense, but you should soon get the hang of things. Your TA should be your go-to for help, but if you need assistance from Academy organizers, you can open a Discord support ticket.
Each day of the course, students will work through 5 hours of curriculum content and will also spend about 3 hours working on their projects and engaging with professional development activities. Depending on the student's time zone, the specific schedule of each day will vary, as you can see in these diagrams. The curriculum portion of each day of the course will be a total of about 5 hours. Students will begin by watching a 30-minute pre-recorded talk from a keynote speaker who is doing work related to the topic of that day. The goal of these talks is to highlight the impactful climate science research being done and provide an introduction to the general themes that will be covered in the curriculum for that day. The actual curriculum content will be a total of 3 hours per day and will be comprised of multiple tutorials. Some days contain 8 or 9 shorter, about 20-minute long tutorials, whereas other days contain 4 to 6 longer tutorials. Each tutorial begins with a short, pre-recorded video that provides students with an introduction and background for the topics and exercises in that tutorial. This is then followed by interactive notebooks with Python coding exercises, as well as written text to provide additional background and context for the exercises. The tutorials each day are split into 2 sections, with a pod discussion before the first set of tutorials and a pod discussion after the second set of tutorials. There will also be a 1-hour break between these 2 sets of tutorials. The curriculum is divided into 4 general themes: fundamental skills, past and present climate, and future climate, and climate response. During the fundamental skills section, the goal is to provide students with fundamental knowledge and skills in Python, X-ray, and Earth climate systems. The next 3 days of the course will focus on past and present climate. These days are centered on using data and various computational tools to assess past and present climate change. Students will use reanalysis products, remote sensing data, and paleoclimate proxy data to understand multi-scale climate interactions, climate monitoring, and variations in past marine, terrestrial, and atmospheric climates. The next section of the curriculum focuses on future climate. Specifically, these lessons and days will focus on using climate models to assess future climate change. The goal of this section is to introduce students to the fundamentals of climate modeling and how to interpret projections of future climate and assess socioeconomic climate risk. The final 2 days of the course will cover the responses to climate change. The goal of this section is to introduce students to tools for using climate data to identify extreme climate events and track the impacts of climate change to inform adaptation measures.
Why do we spend almost half of our course on projects and professional development? Research projects will give you the opportunity to take the new knowledge and skills you learned through tutorials and apply them directly to a topic you're interested in. This will give you the confidence that after the course, you can find and access real climate data independently and explore a research topic in depth. Beyond these more academic learning goals, projects and professional development activities will also allow you to discover what topics, ideas, and issues you are most passionate about, and thereby connect what you learned during the course to your life afterwards. In contrast to Neuromatch mentors, Climatematch mentors won't work with you on your projects. Instead, our mentors are practitioners that work in climate-related fields that will meet with you for in-depth conversations. Mentors will share their professional experience with you, give advice, and serve as a connection to different career opportunities after the course. As Climatematch students and teaching assistants, you will have the opportunity to continue working on your projects after the course. In the short term, all students and teaching assistants can register for an extended access to computing resources. At the end of this period, you can apply to be a Climatematch Impact Scholar to gain access to computing resources and mentoring for an extended period of time.
Okay. To give you an overview, there will be 7 different project topics that will roughly represent 3 broad domains of climate: land, atmosphere, and ocean. Each project will have a dedicated page in the course tutor book. This will include a little bit of background on the topic, as well as suggestions for further reading. Many projects also will have an introductory video. The datasets used in the projects are available on our Jupyter Hub or Pangeo, and there will also be code for loading this data available on each project's page in the course book. In some cases, there is also additional code to help students get started, as well as some extra information for TAs specifically. Lastly, each project comes with a project map. This will be a set of suggested research questions that can be tackled directly with the datasets and resources provided. This is the typical layout of a project map. There are 2 conceptual categories of questions: state of the climate questions and adaptation mitigation questions. The former are dealing with the physical science side of a climate phenomenon of interest, whereas the latter are about their socioeconomic impact. These impact questions are highlighted by these dashed borders around the question boxes. On top of that, there are 3 tiers of questions color-coded by their level of difficulty: green, yellow, and red, with green being the easiest ones and red the most advanced ones. The green questions can be answered by directly applying techniques taught in the first few days of the course, and all students will be required to work through these during project session 2. All other questions are entirely optional, and they are only for inspiration.
Professional development activities are really focused on the Climatematch Academy students. Here's an overview of 4 different components of professional development activities throughout the summer program. First of all, we have Impact Talks, which is collaboration with our awesome project team that will be recorded interviews of practitioners sharing their perspectives on topics that's relevant to a just climate science. that include topics like science communication, climate justice, climate equity, and open science. Beyond the impact talks, we want to make sure students have the opportunity to meet with mentors and practitioners live to share their career experiences. Also, in addition to career mentor meetings, we want to make sure students have the opportunity to interact and browse different career options through the online spotlight of career features of a really diverse set of practitioners. Last but not least, we also have a live panel discussions with a few different career professionals in climate and related fields to share about their career paths with live moderated questions and answers.
Okay, so I'll leave you to it. I hope you have a wonderful time going through the content, and I'm excited for you to finally learn all about computational tools for climate science.